of the political divide, given the opportunity to be heard, must be able to coexist. I think we can run into our conversation this morning. So I bring this one down and welcome officially our guest, Councillor Tiawan Saye Gongloe. Welcome to our show. Welcome to this should be your first edition in person edition. Good morning to you.
That is true. So it's historic, and I'm happy to be here this morning. I like to teach in classroom and to teach in the public because ignorance is one of the things that has undermined the progress of this country. And sometimes people think they know, but they don't know. And we should be speaking to each other, even the views that we don't like, we should listen to them. Because tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, you say, you know, that thing I listened to day before yesterday is true. We should keep the space open to speak to each other. So I like what people are doing. I support freedom of the press. I fought for it in this country along with a lot of people that I can not boastfully, but I can say with confidence that there's no lawyer in this country that has fought for press freedom equal to me. I've been the print media, the electronic media, everyone, because I strongly believe in freedom of expression. I was just telling my students a while ago that things have not changed in Liberia much because, you know, in 1998, I was one of the 4 lawyers that presented paper at the national conference that President Cllr called at the Unity Conference Center. And I delivered a paper on the title, The Judiciary Facing the Millennium. We didn't know. And the prospects and challenges. In that paper, I researched and concluded, you know, things have to be changed so we can see how Liberia, the judiciary, will be in the first quarter of the new millennium. Now we passed the first quarter, and the things that I was looking at, the challenges that I was looking at that time still exist, you know, surprisingly.
And this brings me to the point. When you do your random research about Councillor Gongloe and his most recent engagements in authorities about governance, whether it's leadership or judicial review or what have you, issue about the rule of law, expediency about the rule of law, and I would say political expediency. You've been rendering some strong opposition to corruption and bad governance. Your support for the establishment of war and economic crimes quote in our country, investment in education as a national priority, the belief that Liberia is rich in resources but suffers from poor leadership rather than lack of wealth. These are messages that resonate or emerge from random research about the EU. This brings me to the question on leadership vision for Liberia. You have spent decades criticizing governments, or I should say critiquing governments. What qualifies you to move you from critic to commander-in-chief?
I like the 2 C's, from critic to commander-in-chief. That's good. Look, I have been critically looking at governance from the time I was in high school. I joined Moja when I was in high school. And at that time, Moja was creating awareness. That's a long time before you were born. I'm talking about 1975, 76.
Yeah.
So when I came to University of Liberia, I joined SUP. I became a member of the university newspaper called the University Spokesman. And here our motto, even a bullet to our breast, we shall speak the truth. At that time, the papers in Liberia were all true party papers. The Liberian Age, the other papers, Daily Listener, the papers that were being run at that time were run by people who were affiliated to the only party that existed at that time. So the only independent press was the one that the students at the University of Liberia were running. And that's one of the things that brought me to the legal profession, because we were held in contempt. Yeah, I think in 1978 or 79, we were held in contempt for two Lebanese who strangulated a young Liberian, Edward Berry, who was going to night school, working in the store in the day. They say he ate one candy and they strangulated him to death. And that case had taken some time at the court. And we didn't know much about the judicial process. So we said, oh, this case has been delayed. Look like the Lebanese merchants are influencing the judiciary. And we wrote something in an anonymous column about George Edmund Wasser, and was cited for contempt. We went and we pleaded our own case, explained, and the judge said, okay, I'm happy. You didn't intend to look down upon the court. You were just anxious to know what was happening. But I've been thinking and critiquing government, even the government that look better than governments today. President Thomas' government was critiqued by us because we're looking for not just at least, but to get the best out of our government. I'm really motivated by the Declaration of Independence of Liberia, when those who formed the state said, you know what, we came here to establish a state that will be for all people, it will be free for all black people. And we want a country that will be run like country run by people of other pigmentation, who actually refer to the Europeans. We believe that we have the ability to run a state the Europeans will do. So that aspiration, great dream, up to now, it is still what a friend of mine called Bill Berkeley wrote in the mid 1980s, 1986 or 87. The promise betrayed. That promise has been betrayed by government after governments, that this country will be a country run like any country in Europe, and will be an example for the rest of the black race, that this will be the model for Africa. We have not. Small country like Cape Verde, I was just reading about Cape Verde last night. They don't have natural resources, they only have tourism. They are much better governed than Liberia. Botswana is a country that is naturally challenged. It only has diamond. And we have diamond, we have so many mineral resources. But good governance has made Botswana to rely on diamond and make Botswana a middle income country. Look at Botswana, 70% of the land mass is desert. It means so sand, no plant growing anywhere. Then they are landlocked, no sea coast. In order for them to get goods to their country, they have to go to other countries in the region. But they are performing better in terms of education, health, food production. They grow maybe about 70% of millet they eat in our country. The 20% and the 30% of the land they have, they're raising animals and exporting meat. We have everything. Liberia, I have traveled all over Liberia. And so, and Botswana gained independence 119 years after Liberia's independence. And our independence, it was considered a very poor country. In 1966, Liberia's GDP was compared to Japan. Here we are today among the 15 poorest countries of the world, and Botswana is now a middle-income country, only because of honest governance, good governance. The governments after governments in Botswana have been for the people, not for the pockets. And because of that, Botswana is considered the least corrupt country in Africa. The resources are benefiting the people of Botswana. On the other side, in Liberia, again, if historians are kind to me, they will say, I'm the first presidential candidate in the history of Liberia to go to more than 100 towns. I went to 354 towns in the 73 districts, and I felt very sad for Liberia. So underdeveloped. But everywhere in Liberia is green. There's no desert. You find a few savannah along the coast, Maryland, Grand Cru, Sino, along the coast. But then they are even good for animal raising. When you go to Kepama, you go to Grand Cavale and other places, you see the cows, they are well fed, which means we have the potential to even do better than Botswana.
You see rest of the issues already. I listened to
Yeah.
President Bigo the other day. He was talking about he was advising his cabinet ministers. Since you talk about Botswana,
Yeah.
he's just like
I listen here every day,
he
even
said.
this morning.
He said, "I live here. I don't live in heaven. I don't need you to come to me with problems. I need you to come to me with solutions." So you seem to already have an idea of what Liberia's problems are. What do we? What kind of Liberia do we envision if elected president after 5 years?
You cannot solve a problem unless you know the problems. So I'm already familiar with the problems. First, very low expenditure on high officials of government. I have said, as president, I will not make more than $5,000 a month. I will not carry more than 5 cars in the presidential convoy because I saw President Talbot with 3-car convoy coming from Bensonville. I saw it. It's doable. I saw President Talbot's vice president, Benny Warner, with only one vehicle, a brown limousine, beach limousine, I still remember, with one police motorcycle. If you reduce the cost of governance, then you free up resources to be used for social services to the Liberian people. Governance is to seek the common good, to make the people happy, not to make the people who govern happy. No.
And I was just about to ask you in your your best reasoning. I was just about to ask you what does good governance mean in practical terms that the ordinary market woman in Ganta or Douala market who be or the motorcyclists running a roving the streets of Monrovia who be able to understand what good governance mean.
Make social services available to the least in the society in terms of poverty. They must have access to the best hospital. They must have access to the best schools, all children of Liberia. You must assist the farmers through government programs to improve farming and produce food. Roads must be all over the country. Then the citizens will be happy. You see, in Botswana, that's my example. You don't hear for the past 5 years, I've been checking, no protest, no street protest. What are they protesting about? They're happy. If you satisfy your citizens, they will not be protesting. I hear government after government, from President Salif to now after the war. When you're protesting every day, give them reason not to protest. A hungry man is an angry man. That's what we say. And when you make more of your citizens angry, of course you expect them. You make them hungry. You expect them to be angry, and they will express anger in different means.
I want us to talk about key governance issues, and then we can. And then
But
we
I
can
just want to say this: that when we used to be critical of government at the University of Liberia in the 70s, they used to say, "Yo, shut up, man. We now hear people talk the same thing. When you get there, you'll do the same thing." And I was very critical on corruption because that is what, hold resources that will make the citizens happy. So one of the reasons I agreed to go into government was to test myself. Are you able to go to government and come out as Councillor Gongloe? And I went into government as Councillor Gongloe. When I came out, I didn't go around looking for Councillor Gongloe. As Solicitor General, as Minister of Labour, even as executive assistant to the president of Liberia in my early 30s, serving as presidential envoy, going and returning money. Imagine I went on a trip, as I remember now, 20 days trip as presidential envoy to Sierra Leone, to Ghana, to Guinea, because when you go to see a president, sometimes it takes you a week to have the chance, right? But I've completed my mission in 10 days. When I came back, Francis Capel is alive. You were the Minister of Finance. I went to him and said, "Oh, yeah, give me $4,500 for 20 days. I spent 10 days. I can justify $2,225. I can't justify the other one. So I brought the money back. Francis Kappa is on radio. He would listen to me. He said, no, but the money from you that we finish taking it from the National Bank, that your per diem. I said, no, per diem is when you are away from your duty station, your hotel, your food, your transportation, incidental. I can't justify this. He said, no, I can't take it. I said, he took it. He said, okay, is that what you want? And he gave me a receipt to his credit. The next day, he deposited the money and sent me the deposit slip. It's just because of the I'm going to America in exile that I can't find that paper again. But to his credit, he did that. And I'm talking about 1992 when things were tough in this country, right?
Yeah.
So when I came back from America, imagine I was at Harvard making $4,000 a month as a researcher. I came here as Solicitor General. They started me with a $600 and $9,000 liberty allowance. When I got my first pay, I said, wow. Anyway, this is a challenge to me. That I see what that TCU group were making here. So let me make this money and stay home my principles. This is a real test. I was there until my salary got elevated to 1,006 or so before I left to become Minister of Labor. Even as Minister of Labor, I was making lower than what assistant minister I'm making today. I was making $2,223 take home pay. And I stayed in that job until I resigned. When I couldn't stay in the government because of variance between what was happening and my principles of good governance.
When we look around, I see two persons well placed to answer this particular question. You and President Bouaka. You often say that Liberia's greatest problem is bad leadership. I mean, bad leadership, relatively bad leadership.
Mhm.
What are the three biggest leadership failures that you can point to or point out since maybe 2003 or 2006, 2004?
That not walking the talk. People, actual government make pronouncements, don't follow it. My own president, President Sali, for example, said corruption of public enemy number one. At the close of our government, she said it became something, a monster, vampire, right? Then the question of tribalism
Okay.
and people of your group, that cronyism is still there from one government to another. It affects getting the best qualified Liberians to serve. One of the things we fought for in Liberia, some people say, "Oh, the progressive sport of the country." I say, instead of being grateful, we fought for a Liberia in which Austin Kawa will not sit at the radio station because of his name, because of his tribe, because of the place he comes from. That every Liberian must be judged by the content of his character and his qualification. It is our fight that got Bouaka in the mansion today. Because I can tell you, it will have taken a longer time for Bouaka to be in the mansion today, for Bia to be in the mansion, for the different names to be at the different branches of the government, whether it's
And the legislature.
the Chief Justice and all of that. I say we fought for Liberia where today a top man should have opportunity to be president. Against a number should have opportunity to be president too. A Harris should have opportunity to be speaker. Whereas Yakolo can be speaker or president pro tem. You can have Monica Bazabog and say as
They have Besonga.
Bazonga as president pro tem. But then Johnson can also be president pro tem. Nobody responsible for his name, for what family he was born in, what tribe he's in, and what region he comes from. These things are still with us. I mean three, I can mean more.
Because the administration
and
is
then the
become
question
president.
of selfishness. People put themselves before the public interest. That's a serious problem. When I used to argue against the legislators after I resigned from government, why are you talking about legislative engagement form when nobody will monitor? And you'll say, then when you go to the district, Has your representative brought 30,000 out to you? They say no. Then when you ask them, they say, oh, but you know how much the executive mansion taking? But because the executive mansion is taking big budget that it can account for, the lawmakers too are taking. Leadership, by example, is the best. When you go to country like Rwanda, I've been there twice. You don't see Paul Kagame picture all over the place. So you feel a good president by the quality of life that the citizens live. Their breakfast, their lunch, their dinner, taking care of their children. Then they are grateful to the president. President picture does not have to be in the rooms. Here we emphasize the unimportant thing. The president picture is everywhere. Sometimes they even force business people. Oh, you get a president picture in your shop. What is that? People want to do the business under a good atmosphere. For example, the drug bust. How? Why should there be secrecy about a serious something so serious? When the president right at the beginning said, "I'm taking drug tests," and nobody accused you of being engaged in taking narcotic drug. The vice president too took it. The real test of commitment to fighting narcotic drugs is what is happening right now. Every minute the Liberian people should be informed of what is happening. Because if you fail to inform the Liberian people through your media, then you give chance to the rumor mill to fill the gap for you. And the government will be in trouble if people provide the information that government should be providing.
Did you listen to the president's address yesterday?
I didn't listen to it last night. I don't know who was giving.
Okay, so
Yeah, play that.
so we can ask you a question
Yeah,
about
on that, I behaved like him yesterday because he said, I don't listen to Liberian radio stations. I listen to EFW and BBC. But I usually listen, but that one is skipping. Like yesterday, I was so busy. Tuesday and Thursday, I'm a busy day in teaching.
okay.
Both are earlier at the Library School of Law.
If you're elected president, would you muster that political courage to look within your government and prosecute members of your own government
Yes.
that were implicated or that are implicated into corruption?
You know who's my model president on that? President Talbot. And I went to his office twice and he shook his hand. I had great respect for that man. He, in 1978, signed a death warrant for a family member that was named, a younger family member that was named after him, William Talbot. William Talbot killed his wife in Painesville, and he was taken to court, tried in the circuit court, found guilty, taken to Supreme Court affirmed the judgment. And he dramatized the signing of the death warrant on television. All students were on the dormitory, we were in the TV room, in the study room, and we were watching. President Thomas said, Bill, you know you are the most lovely person in my family. You were named after me, and you know how much I love you. But I'm faced with upholding the law. I took oath to obey, to promote, to defend, and execute the Constitution and statute laws of Liberia. One of the laws says if you kill in Liberia, the penalty is death by hanging. So I have now a death warrant before me that I should sign for you to be executed. I love you, but I love Liberia more. So I'm going to sign the death warrant. I'm telling you. Everybody looking, we didn't believe it. He said, I will sign the death warrant, but I'll pray for you first as pastor of the Zion Praise Baptist Church of Bensonville. So let's pray. They prayed. At the end of the prayer, he signed the death warrant. That was on Thursday. Friday evening, the Togo family went to Central Prison and had a week the whole night. At about I'm told that about 5:45, the sheriff came from, took him on the gallows, put a white cloth around his neck, and put the noose on. Exactly 6:00, he called the plank on him. And Bill was hanging 6 to 6 with his family member looking at him. That is what is required of leadership. That you can take the decision even against your own child in the interest of the country, or you resign. But I will not resign. I will. In fact, when decisions around people who are close to you comes, that is the real test of your commitment to your office. You know, I was prosecuting one time and I was cross-examining my very close friend from college. We are the same year from early. And I was cross-examining him for hours in an anti-corruption case. He said, this was Liberia. You mean a Gongloe trying to put me in trouble like this, my own brother? I said, I didn't expect you to go on that side. No, we should be able to stand up. I don't even want to tell you what me and my driver go through. He will tell you when you're on the radio.
Let's talk a bit about concessions and job creation strategy and stuff because as the clock is clicking so fast,
Mhm.
we're running and things. How would you renegotiate concession agreements without discouraging foreign investments?
I look at Botswana. Botswana got diamond. Botswana is getting more from the diamond than the bear. The bear want to make profit. Everybody who comes in our country come to make profit. We too want to benefit from the resources. From my experience in government, a lot of government officials in this country treat concessionaires as uh, missionaries, people of goodwill. They're not coming, they're not people of goodwill. If you don't have the resources, they will not come. One example, I live in Tapeta growing up. There were two logging companies there. But right now, there's no forest in Tapeta. There's no company there. So if you don't have the resources, they will not come. If God gave you the resources, you negotiate and get the best out of it. Saudi Arabia, all Kuwait, all the countries that have oil, they negotiate well. That's why their countries are benefiting. Here, we can throw money away. I was part of the metal steel negotiation. I dare anybody call on the radio to say what I'm saying. We had 3 trips to go to renegotiate the metal steel contract. That was the first major contract in President Saleh's contract. I was then Attorney General. We got to New York, and Mr. Singh, the negotiator from metal steel on the other side, I was asking all the critical questions. Why? Because an international human rights organization that I studied was emphasizing the rights of people. This is international multi multinational corporations had given me. I said, he flew from London. He said, I'm coming to New York tomorrow. We came, we're upstairs in Swindon and Cravat. He said, I'm here. Come to Starbucks downstairs. I have coffee. He gave me dossiers of everything about metal steel. When I went upstairs, I was asking them questions. They were like, I said, what did you give to IFC in order for you to get money to? What did you give? The information you gave to the financiers were different from the information we were getting. So I said, have you not said that you will sell barrel, the price of iron ore would be like this and that? So the man got angry and got up. We'll leave Liberia, but that's we'll leave Liberia. I said, leave. Members of my delegation disappointed in Austin. As the man reached to the one there, tapping it back. Hey, Mr. Singh, please come back. We lost our strength to negotiate because the man came back, fire with negotiating now from a position of strength, like, oh, they can't do without us. When we came back, I had lawmakers from the country come to my office because the people in the delegation said, I don't remember you the one telling over to you. Oh, SG, they say everybody say you the one, you're horrible. I said, one senator, I said, Senator, you see bombing holes, it's gone. When our IO in Lima is gone, it's gone forever. So I'm doing the best for our country. And if you want to vote candidate for our people too. So because we signed that agreement is gone. The next thing I heard, local government official from Lima on Truth FM, they said our own son start and making it and not happy you. We're breaking you. We're suffering here in Lima. Then I was on the delegation. I had gone to the president's office for something, and I saw my name on the delegation for the second trip. My name was on this car. My name was on the file to negotiation. Austin, I just heard 2 days later that the delegation has gone back to New York. I was deleted from that list. Then they came back when I came and said, "Oh, Madam President, for example, the rule for Ganta, the UK, I was insisting that I be in agreement as part of the agreement. They said, oh, the rule from Ganta, the UK, matters. They say it will be a matter of Google. They commit themselves to do it. You can't enforce Google. So we just gave free ride to Medicity that time. You see, even the second part of the agreement, right there in Sierra Leone, for class A money lesson, now the information I got is they pay the $1 million a year to the government of Sierra Leone. Here, Medicity pay 50,000 now for the 25 year or a year. So that means 2,000 per year. You see how we throw away money, imagine 25,000, $25 million, subtract the 50,000 from it. So we threw money away. And they did not even rehabilitate the houses that were in the company area, both in Ikepa and Buchanan along the way. You go to Medicity, containers. Some of them storage building containers up. As soon as the project is over, the containers will be taken away. There will be no improvement in the area.
Sorry, but there are two things. I see two things standing in our country. I see politics and I see law. What do you think is governing our country? Politics or law?
Politics right now. And that's a sad thing. Where the law does not control politics, there's a problem. For example, the FOIA project, they didn't go by law. They didn't go by the procurement law. And when the money was not budgeted, people who should know about it, and the first time the Deputy Minister of Information gave different information, the Minister of Information gave us different information, at the executive mansion, and like nobody knew at the executive mansion, in the Ministry of State. And the worst thing is that the President of Liberia got on the air and said, oh, I didn't know about that project. And nobody's in jail because those who spoke about it said $10 million. When the minister tried to put money to it, finally said as a government project, it's a presidential center for the region, but it's $6 million, not $10 million. $6 million, the government, that'd be people's money. It was not budgeted. It didn't go through procurement. How? And nobody is being held accountable? That's a violation of rule of law. That's the problem. Selective justice. The government enforces the law on what they want to enforce law on. My little sister, Bonnie, for example, came to the country, and now people say, oh, because maybe if you didn't, but when Samuel Tua came to the country, it is my understanding that one of the reasons Zago was dismissed is that he didn't arrest Samuel Tua at the airport. Whereas the only thing that was at the airport was Nay is a Republican, which means don't leave the country. So Zago is a lawyer by training and was a prosecutor before. So people who don't know law say, but the man should have arrested the man. He said, but the only paper that was at the airport was don't leave the country, but the man will come in the country. So, I mean, we have to, rule of law creates the atmosphere for good governance. Where there's no rule of law, you cannot have good governance. Politics is based on discretion. So people do as they wish. It means that where there's only politics control and laissez-faire, you do it as you wish, is not good because it doesn't set any standard for the country. For example, I was just telling the driver that brought me here, I said I've been to Uganda twice. And I was sitting in a taxi from Hotel Rwanda, Hotel Milan Kali. And I was saying, oh, I want to go see the stadium in Kali the first time. I'm sitting in the car for like, when I'm moving, I said, but I thought I paid you to go. He said, sir, if you don't put your seatbelt on, this car cannot move because I know how much I will pay to go. You see how real login, because you know how much you pay. I think about $100 is equivalent in the branded money. So, where there's rule of law, things can be better. You can even pay people, for example, in the city here, 10,000 for the sweep the city every hour. As long as you don't make dropping papers, orange people in the street, an offense for which people will pay fine and fill in their pocket, they'll be dropping things. Believe me, if people are paying fines or going to jail or later in the street will be clean. Now what happens if we run them much money?
There are many people believe that the drivers or runners of our governance infrastructure should be the legislature that has oversight, responsibility over other institutions. But the effectiveness of the legislature's oversight has gotten up public criticisms for years. You know, 3 years in the current administration running, the legislature still seems divided on political line and all of that. As president, how do you think you can solve this matter?
The best leadership is leadership by example. If the president is behaving, raises the standard of governance so high in terms of his conduct and everything, those who follow in the legislature everywhere will be careful.
Do you think that's missing?
That, for example, I've said to the president, when you get 24, 27 car convoy, so the speaker now have convoy. The speaker never had convoy if you cannot tell her. If you are not too young to know, there will no convoy for speaker. Tell her. In fact, besides president, there will nobody in the government on the president that have convoy. Right? So the president had 27 car convoy. So the speaker had convoy. Even the fact that has making little money. That even creates anger, envy, and everything for the other lawmaker. One making mayor getting all the things that we don't get. His office has so much money. It's the money thing that divides them so much. But going back to in this country, it's the president influence is very strong, especially on the legislature. It's been that way for long. I was telling some people history is something. At the beginning of this country,
How would you change that?
I will restrain myself to respect the two branches of government, to go by the law they make, but also when I draft the budget, it goes to them, I will cut up a lot of things and put it to social services, but I will also for myself, right? I'm not going to be going private jet all over the place.
Would you be pursuing a regime speaker too?
No, I will not do that.
You prefer a speaker coming from the opposition
I will
political
not.
party as president
I
also?
will follow what the law makes want because I know in the interest of the law, I will deal with them fairly, and my contact of government, my governance style will persuade them to do what is right. Because if you don't do so, like people will run behind. You know, I will live in a mansion, for example. Why is the president living in that place doing the same thing? The kind of
Have
government
you done
really.
an assessment of why presidents have not been able to live in the mansion? Just making these commitments, probably without even doing any assessment to establish why these former presidents and current presidents are not living in the mansion. What do
I,
you think they
I've
have not
heard
lived in
I've
the
heard
mansion?
all kinds of superstitious things. That you know, they're not living in a mansion because they're being carried on coup d'etat. But they removed the executive mansion guard battalion that are right there. The soldiers are not even there again. They removed soldiers from PTC. So that fear of president people through is not even there. But it's less costly for the president to live in a mansion than to live home. First, if you step the traffic, you reduce performing in the economy. Every president coming, everybody wait. If going anywhere, everybody wait. When the president is in a mansion, that cost on time and even expen- ex- expenses on fuel is cut down. Then I was seeing something about everybody crying that president. We are all the places they block the street and the building all kinds of things. I passed through the same area and I see obstruction of the place before the president was there. We used to drive and pass through, blocking all of that. There's a public space. All of that will be cut down if the president. Look, if the president can, they can build 6 $2,000 structure in FOIA that could have uh, put the presidential quarters in the executive mansion in the best, in fact, less money in the best position. Besides that, almost every year, under President Sedi, under President Weah, and even under President, money is being allocated for rehabilitating the executive mansion has become a big cash cow. So the president want to live there, live there. But some people believe in all kinds of superstition. I don't. I believe in God. I don't go back. But I will live there for the first
We actually want to
God forbid.
take at least 3 or 4 or 5
I go.
calls, but I'd like you to use one word to describe Liberia's democracy.
Well, the it is picking up, but it hasn't gone far. And where it is making progress is in uh, speaking openly. The Kamara law. I credit President George Weah for it. That when he came to power, I drafted that law in 2009 when the president sleep when I was Solicitor General. But it never went through. It was not one of the things that the president was hard about. But 2009, I was already 3 years in the government. I strongly believe if President Weah had put that thing before the House of Representatives, before the legislature, 3 years in the government was not going to pass. But he did well. He was wise to put it when the forum was still on, and it just passed. Later on, some posts I regret because I remember the couple of us
Okay.
when the packet that point,
Domoy.
Dumoy, under President Weah, he was arrested by the CID and wonder. I said, why I got a man? They say sedition. I said, oh, you already know that this law has been repealed, and you are just 2 minutes walk from the legislature. You can do this here. What will happen in the way I expect the police officer in Bagneville or something to do? So already by that time, they're like, oh, this is. So it was, he would take credit for it forever. That legally, the space is open for everyone to disagree. There cannot be democracy without disagreement. So I think on that level, some progress is being made. But we need to do more. It's not just speaking. Government should listen to opposing views and govern on the basis of what the suggestions that being made, even by people outside. That's why I say, okay, thank God the Minister of Education has reduced the graduation fees because that one thing I've been advocating about. I said, this is a low hanging fruit. President Barker just issued one executive order and said, no graduation fees. I still believe it should not be there because I don't see the, the reason. And also, they did a road to sort it and they maintained it for some time. That is good. But this speech is very important. I'm getting worried about uh, people suffering from speech like Kuyata, presidential advisor was dismissed because he offended the lawmaker. The lawmaker they have press bureau in the legislature. Anybody speaking against they can counter it with press statement. They can come on the radio. Many of them are sharp, but they can even come to counter. How can they believe that one statement from Kuyate will make them look bad? People will believe Kuyate over them. So it's wrong. In a democracy, we should disagree. To like the late language talk, you say, you talk your own, I talk my own. Yeah, that's the way to do it. And now, even carry to, well, even carry international, an ambassador, EU ambassador was recalled or was asked to be recalled. I don't know whether she left. Maybe she had. Say, oh, you're talking to people privately. Your conversation is not favorable to government. You're talking things bad things about the government. You even talk to our partners. So the government is listening to private conversation now. That is scary. It happened when talking about what they got PRO when it used to be listening to people. That is going to have a chilling effect on other ambassadors at the government and listen to poor conversation. Call them in, talk to them. Foreign minister call the ambassador. I hear you saying what is happening. And talk to look, honor President Sawyer, Ambassador was peace be to his actions, said something to the Minister of Defense, Dr. Edward Kessler, about Dr. Sawyer. And Dr. Edward Kessler came and told him, so he was cited to the marshal in my presence. He said, Mr. President, I did not speak officially to the Minister of Defense. He didn't say he didn't see him. He said that's not the official position of the United States government. So it's okay. Maybe because you put up political scientist. I just wanted to hear why, if there was anything behind what you said, so that But that was the end. People have to let's focus on the most important, that is improving the lives of the Liberian people, and not reacting to every statement. You know,
Okay, Council, let's do 5 minutes of management time and pick at least four calls to gauge the reaction from the public. 0776 104 500 104. Council Tiawan Saye Gongloe is one of Liberia's presidential hopeful ahead of the 2029 elections. He's been speaking on a number of issues. My name is Austin Abu Sharif is here. Let's hear
Yes,
you
good
in a
morning,
few
Austin.
seconds. Go ahead.
Yes, good morning, Austin Kawa. And good morning to Honorable Councillor. Councillor, I am Spencer Mohammed, and I'm called from down Coast Hill, Waitland Community, a member of Concern and Group for Justice. Councillor, I have a question for you. Councillor, back in 2020, you had to bring this government to power. Now, 3 years later, I want you to grade this government. Councillor, is this government proceeding as you anticipated? Because you want to say,
Thank you. Your question is clear. Thank you. Let's take the other person. Good morning to you. Let's hear you.
yes, Austin, this is Brown Daddy from Morovia.
Go ahead,
And
bro.
let me think, you and Sherry and the councillor, I listened to him. And he was saying something about enforcement, our law, policy, and other things. So I can only sum up to say that our enforcement regime in this country is weak. So when he comes, can he re-strengthen it?
Thank you. Can you re-strengthen our enforcement regime if elected president? Next person. Go ahead. Let's hear you.
Hello, good morning. My name is Eva. I'm calling from Congo Town.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say thank you for the show. Good morning to the guest in the video. Well, I listened to him from the beginning. All the things will really help if the right people.
I'm sorry, your line is terribly bad. Let's talk to somebody else.
Hello?
Good morning. Go ahead.
Yeah, I hope my Emily. I want to tell the council something.
Mm-hmm.
Our council I went to your office 2 times. That is saying
Oh, no, that one a personal issue there. That one is personal. Masisi, go ahead.
Good morning, Tawa.
Good
Let
morning.
me say out to Abu. Let me say out to my councillor. So ask my councillor, the people you brought to power, the rule of law. Oh no, the government is proceeding well. That's my question to you.
The people you are?
The people he brought to power, the rule of law. Oh, the government is proceeding well.
Okay. Thank you, Masisi. Council, you can take the full
let
concerns.
me tell the two people ask the same question. You can see a beautiful woman and think that should be your wife forever, and you marry her today, and 2 months you are in court divorce. I've seen that one plenty. So expectation and reality can be different. Don't prosecute me because I felt that there will be a better day. Anybody can make that decision. It's just like you see food, you say, "Oh, the food I want to eat," you go eat it, somebody runs your stomach. But you can't say, "Oh, you should have known." No, I'm not God. I will not know everything. I said, I cried down. My own little brother, very good friends. I said, "No, you messed up. You not even take us to Waffle or African Cup or anywhere. Uh, you took us to whatever I used to you. You took us to ICU." So I couldn't go back and say, "Oh, Abby said that." I said, "I the man not credible." It's okay. Let's try the other person. He's older. He's been government. He work under President Talbot. So at least he had worked in the government and who felt was reasonably good. He was happy from that. I'm disappointed. I'm not grading them. If I'm grading it, obviously it's a feeling grade. They are doing something here and there that are you play a role. But you don't follow the rule of law, that rule can be destroyed. Because procurement and all the different things you need to do properly. We don't know about procurement of the yellow machine, for example. It just came out. President Gentleman Agreement, that is still on the voice is still there when you go to the legislature. So that type of governance is not good governance. And I didn't expect that. I must say I'm shocked. So don't prosecute me. Don't hold me guilty or thinking that, dreaming that things would be better. I'm not God, but it was reasonable to think that way. Just like how you can say, I've never eaten enough food. I've seen people eating enough food and getting fat. Let me try it. Then you go try it. And
It's
you
like
start
dry.
running. So I thought I knew him because I work in the government in which vice president was not the best, but he put up something that sounded good. That I was a park car. Yeah, he's not a park car. He's not racing as he thought. He said he was going to be a racing car, but a lot of things. Once rule of law is not upright, and it's supposed to be a rescue. Rescue is the big motto for this government: arrest and rescue. But it looks like the arrest agenda has arrested the rescue mission that is not moving because the MCC, the Millennium Challenge Account, that give us plenty of money for to pay our hydro, said under President Weah, the rule of law grade was for the 4%. And now it says this year that under President Bwaka, rule of law grade for the 4%. My one arithmetic shows that for the 4 minus for the 4 are 0. So there has been no movement, there has been no rescue in the area of rule of law. That's my clear evidence. Thank you very much.
Abu, we have to go.
Yeah, I want to commend the councillor. Well said. I would have had area to quiz him on, but obviously, as the public, some changes that we're going through here. So let's see what the next edition. Probably, if we have an opportunity, we'll do once more. I'm very interested in this story, especially the role of the progressive and some decisions that were taken. Yeah, definitely. So, we conform. So, thank you very kindly for coming.
So, trust we will have Councillor Gongloe back here. This place is his home, but he's been so busy to join us. Now that there was just an orientation interview. Yes. So this was just an orientation interview. We're going to have Councillor here for 2 hours sometime next week for us to deal with all of the issues next week, 2 hours here. So we announce his reappearance Monday. We announce his reappearance on next week. But until then, let's say thanks to all of you for listening. Thanks to all of you for watching. And we shall be back here tomorrow by God's grace. But until then, do have yourselves pleasant moments in your respective areas. My name is Austin Kawa. Abu Sharif was here. We shall be back here tomorrow. Bye bye.